Brian Schottenheimer is the new offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. We got to talk about that and all the things surrounding that. It's a lot of content really fast. But before I do, don't forget to SLC. Subscribe, like, and comment. Follow the channel. Follow Boss Cowboy Sports on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow me, the OC100, on Twitter. Okay, guys, Brian Schottenheimer being named the offensive coordinator. Wow. Who would have thunk it? Well, you know, this is one of the reasons, guys, that we really try to do our best work, and we want to try to encourage everybody, if you can, if you haven't already, please follow our channel and our content. We want to show receipts for all the things that we've done, and even some of the unpopular videos that we have put out. It seems that they come to fruition in some point or another. So a receipt for this content that I'm about to drop right now is on March 25th, 2022. I talk about Brian Schottenheimer being hired as a consultant to the offense and the defense for the Dallas Cowboys. And so this, first of all, was a very strategic move on the part of the wise Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy strategically put Brian Schottenheimer in the building last year as a consultant for the offense and defense. And I cover in the last video I did about 10 months ago now, the places that he could potentially help. And I laid out just in plain English. Go back and check out that video, guys, if you want to get all of that content. He was not really here to consult with the defense. He was really here to consult with the offense, and that he was here as a backup plan and to help Kellen Moore. And so the Cowboys insert Marty Schottenheimer. All right. And so, Brian Schottenheimer, he was the passing game coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay. And, you know, previous to that, he coached as an offensive coordinator with the Jets, right? He had other stints in the league, and the release and the narrative of why they hired him, that he would be a unique role. He would have a consultant type role between the offense and the defensive coordinators. All right. And Dan Quinn, and to help Kellen Moore in terms of game prep. Well, here's the deal. Our defense went from almost last in the league to pretty much a top 10 defense. So does Dan Quinn really need help in game prep? He was a former head coach, former defensive coordinator, years of experience in the NFL. Does he really need help in game prep? No. No, he does not need help game prepping. He does not need help seeing the opponent and knowing what he should do versus an opponent defensively. He doesn't need help. So now here's the other question. Does Kellen Moore need help? Does he need help? Well, the evidence suggests that he may need help. He may need another set of eyes to help him dissect and decipher and create schemes. There's a difference between schemes and plays. You can call a play, it's ideal scenario, it's perfect world, it's whiteboard. But when you have a scheme, that means it means I have a strategy. I have a particular strategy that will work versus what I'm going to see. So my scheme will be different from team to team. My scheme will always be different team to team, because every team brings something unique to the table that I need to account for, that I may not have had to account for when I faced another opponent. So, do the Cowboys feel guilty? I think so. Absolutely. The Cowboys are quietly admitting that perhaps their offensive coordinator needs another set of eyes. They are admitting that perhaps what happened last year in terms of key moments and why we lost games is perhaps due to the fact that something is missing in our coaching staff in terms of perspective and in preparation. The Cowboys feel guilty. So the Cowboys insert a gap stop, a backup plan, a wingman to help. In my opinion, not the defense, man, not the defense, it's the offense. It's the perspective, the intelligence, and the IQ. They're bringing in a more experienced offensive coordinator, a guy that's had more game experience, that's ran through more schemes, that's seen more scenarios, and that has more overall greater knowledge base in terms of offenses and defenses in the NFL. That's what the Cowboys are doing. The Cowboys feel guilty. Now, could the Cowboys have gotten a higher level coach? Yeah, they could have, but they don't want to threaten and just be completely obvious that we could, if this doesn't go well, if this is not looking good, we could go another direction during the season. We could demote Kellen Moore. So now Kellen Moore, if he's a smart man, he's looking over his shoulder because he knows this guy has more experience than him. This guy has been an offensive coordinator for several teams. Kellen Moore is not silly. Kellen Moore has to perform. Kellen Moore has to make the right decisions with whoever else comes into the building. Whoever else, in my opinion, that will be drafted. Bruh. I think the Cowboys probably definitely the first two picks go receiver now based upon everything that's happened thus far in the offseason. Almost 90% is my opinion about that. But Kellen Moore has to look over his shoulder because he understands that if the scheme and the system that he's sold, if it's not productive and it's not netting victories, and in my opinion, key victories, there's another man in the building who has NFL pedigree, who is a second generation coach in the NFL. So, with that being said, the Cowboys didn't come out and admit that they're wrong. But the Cowboys are like that spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend that brings you a gift after they stayed out all night. They know they were wrong. They know they were guilty, but they don't admit it. They just try to do something nice to make up for it. This is a Cowboys guilt move. This is a makeup move for the Cowboys. The hiring of Brian Schottenheimer. So I'm very interested to see what happens with this whole dynamic in the preseason and in the regular season. So at the end of the day, if Kellen Moore didn't work out, then you would have your offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer, already in the building. All right. And so this has come to pass. And this is really wise about Mike McCarthy because of the fact that he understood coming into this role, he didn't have complete power, that he made a concession of Kellen Moore. And when we lost some key games, not this season, but last season, and we got booted out the first round of the playoffs that we played in against the San Francisco 49ers, this move was made. And I'll give you my 3 top reasons why I believe this move was made. The first reason is that Brian Schottenheimer is the son of the late, the great, the passed on Marty Schottenheimer, championship Super Bowl coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, was an icon in the league for years, very, very well respected. And Brian Schottenheimer came underneath the tutelage of what many consider to be one of the best minds and coaches of all time in terms of the game of football. Now, one thing to note, when you talk about Brian Schottenheimer is a guy that, like his dad, Marty Schottenheimer, believes in running the football. But at the same time, he's extremely creative in the passing game. So much so that when he was with the Seattle Seahawks for a couple of years there, you had Russell Wilson actually throw more than 40 touchdowns. He actually threw in 2018, about 25 touchdowns the first 8 games. It did tail off for 12 touchdowns at the back end of that season. However, I mean, he's still throwing almost 40 touchdowns, and really they were tearing up defenses, and he moved on to be the QB coach assistant and passing game coordinator previous to coming to the Cowboys for the Jacksonville Jags when they drafted first round pick Trevor Lawrence. So he has tons of experience in the NFL, around 20 or so years at this point. So a philosophy, if you notice the coaching staff from Joe Witt to Dan Quinn to everybody else that he's brought into the building that Mike McCarthy's had a direct influence on, is that he likes to coach with peers, not with people he has to mentor. See, the underlying belly of this is that it was disagreement versus scheme philosophy and how much to run the ball, how much to pass the ball with Kellen Moore. And that's why Kellen Moore's not here anymore. Just to keep it honest with you guys, that's why he's not here. But what Mike McCarthy likes to do, he likes a consultative approach with experienced coaches that he can trust and that he feels like knows the game. Number 2, common sense football. So if you look at Brian Schottenheimer, is he the most creative of the creative? Is he a Sean McVay? No, he's not. But what he is he understands the game, and he's sound fundamentally in terms of having responsible play calls, in that he's not going to do a lot of stuff in terms or suggest a lot of stuff offensively that really scares Mike McCarthy. He's not going to do that. He's going to be sound. He's going to be fundamental. He's going to be sharp in terms of what he presents offensively as usable schemes and strategies and plays we can run based upon scenarios. And scenarios are really important because we've had scenarios this past season that we will be backed up against our own goal line and we go spread. We'll be 2nd and 1 and we'll go spread and throw the ball. That's what I mean when I say scenario-based football. You have to have scenario-based football, and that you need to do certain things to protect your team, protect your quarterback, and advance the drive in certain scenarios. All right. So if you look at Schottenheimer, check. He checks the boxes there.
Perfect.
Furthermore, he's also able to learn and take the best out of what Kellen Moore's done this past season and incorporate it into his own nuances in terms of offensive schemes, with a little bit of option routes in some of the schemes that you saw that Kellen Moore actually ran versus certain teams effectively.
That was easy.
And he had a season to study and to learn. So this is all good. This is all positive. It's nothing wrong with this. It's nothing bad about this whatsoever, in my opinion. It actually creates more synergy, which is the last point. Synergy in terms of vision, right? You have to have people on the same page. 2 visions is division. 2 leaders is a monster. It's an abomination. And that's what we had this past year offensively. We had 2 people trying to lead, and you had an abomination. At the end of the season, it blew up in terms of philosophy with us forcing the pass versus sticking with the run, which played to the strengths of our team, at least in that particular roster. So you're going to see a very, very even and a very, very cool process in terms of implementation, having best ideals win, in my opinion, having different things flow. So you're going to see all that this year, and I think you're not going to have the back and forth and the banter about various things and systems that we had this past season dealing with the Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy fiasco. So I think that Brian Schottenheimer will come in and do a good job. Keep in mind, he's not calling the plays. That's still Mike McCarthy's position. So his job is to balance Mike McCarthy, to see the field, to make suggestions, to study, to help with some of the prep and some of the responsibilities on the day-to-day basis that would a normal offensive coordinator, if that's all they were doing, would have. And Mike McCarthy's not going to have every single responsibility because he's the head coach. He has oversight over the entire team. So that's Brian Schottenheimer's job. So I think this is a situation where everybody knows their role. And Brian Schottenheimer is going to fit seamlessly. He's already known, he's already trusted, he's already in the building. He's going to fit seamlessly into the strategy that Mike McCarthy wants to implement offensively. And this, you heard it here first, will work for the good of the Dallas Cowboys. This will not work for the bad of the Dallas Cowboys. This will work for the good. All right, so go check out the video that I did about 10 months ago. March 25th, I believe, is that video. And hey, don't forget, if you like content like this, we try to put the content out there that is relevant, even if it's not popular. And we want everybody to be caught up and for us to stay ahead of the game so we know the latest and the greatest in Dallas Cowboys sports and news. So follow Boss Cowboy Sports on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow me, the OC100, on Twitter. And until next time, see you.